she looked at me and she said, if you take it off, I will put it on you permanently. So the hat will stay on for a while. But anyway, Dr. Kopinski, members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished guests, parents, friends, and most especially soon-to-be graduates of Johnson College. This is truly an honor and a pleasure to be with you today to help celebrate this great time in your life. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is to let you all in on just a little secret. And it's a secret that you're never going to hear coming from the podium of a commencement speaker or graduation speaker. Mostly because most of the speakers think that their speeches are inspiring, that they're memorable, that they're life-altering. Truth of the matter is, and here's the secret, that a few days from now, a few hours from now, a few years from now, as your life begins to get into full swing, you won't remember a thing about today. The only thing you'll remember is that you got your degree. Least of all, the name of your commencement speaker. It was about 30 years ago this August, I sat in Rec Hall at Penn State, just waiting to get my diploma. And all I could remember today was that it was about 150 degrees inside that auditorium. The speeches were entirely too long, and I couldn't to this day figure out why in God's name anyone would ever ask the head of the nuclear physics department to be the commencement speaker. I mean, you talk about an exciting speech. I mean, come on, I had little time and I had a lot of parties to go to. So I thought instead of the regular commencement speech that you would normally hear, that I would do something a little differently. I want to tell you a story. And the reason that I want to tell you a story is twofold. Number one, I hope you walk away today with a little piece of it that you may remember. And number two, I really hope 30 years from now you're not saying to yourself, who we got the name after United Way guys to give our speech. But this is a true story. It was a little over a year ago. I had the opportunity to spend an hour over coffee with my new friend. His name is Chris Gardner. Now, normally when I mention the name of Chris Gardner, I'm met with some blank stares. But if I mention the blockbuster Academy Award-winning film, The Pursuit of Happiness, people start recognizing Chris's name. You see, Chris is the author of the autobiographical book called The Pursuit of Happiness, and he was the subject of the film of the same name that starred Will Smith. Now, in a nutshell, this is the story of Chris's climb out of homelessness and poverty, sleeping on the floors of subways and bus station bathrooms, and ultimately becoming one of Wall Street's leading financial gurus and a multimillionaire in his own right. Now, by the way, the other thing I have to tell you is all the while he was homeless, sleeping on the floors of bathrooms and subways and bus stations, he was also caring for his then 4-year-old son. So anyway, during our coffee, I asked Chris the question that was going through my mind. And the question was, what was going through your head when, at the age of 28, 29, 30, here you found yourself laying sound asleep or trying to sleep in the bathroom of a subway, all the while clutching on to your 4-year-old son? What was going through your mind at that point in your life? And he looked at me without blinking an eye and he said, Gary, all I kept thinking was that I need to change my way of thinking. I never blamed anyone for my state in life. I was the chauffeur. I was the one who drove myself here, and I was the one who held the keys. But I always thought that maybe if someone gave me a little help, I'd be able to drive out of this situation and do something good with my life. He then began to tell me about those people whom he said he will never forget. And some of them were a little unusual. He, of course, talked about what he referred to them as God's angels, his God's angels. He talked about the volunteers at the homeless shelters that would allow him to sleep on occasion with his son and would allow him to wash up every once in a while to look a little bit more presentable. He talked about the social worker who, when he was most in need, would help him out the greatest with a couple of extra dollars and maybe another place to stay. And he especially talked about, which I kind of got a kick out of the ladies of the evening around the San Francisco area, who would see him at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, pushing this stroller with his 4-year-old son that was covered with plastic bags to try to keep his son protected from the wind and the cold and the rain. And they would reach into their purse and they would hand him $5 so that he was able to buy his son some food for that night. And most especially, he will never forget and talk greatly about the investment executive who looked past his disheveled appearance, who looked past the fact that he didn't have a college education, looked past his dress, and looked past his homelessness, and took him under his wing and helped him to drive up and to drive out of the situation he was in. He finished the conversation by saying to me, "Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to look at your world and your life a little bit differently. Everyone does not fit into the same molds in life, and everyone does not have the same opportunities in life that we may have had. We need to change to look at each other differently, to look at each other with potential. We need to reach out to give a hand, because no one has gotten to where they are today without a little help from somebody. And never, never, never look at any act of kindness as insignificant or small, because as he said to me, he could speak for the fact that even the smallest act of kindness can change a person's life forever." I think about this conversation that I had with Chris almost on a daily basis. How the smallest act of kindness can help to drive someone in a totally different direction. How one person, just one person, can dramatically change another person's life forever. Because you know what? You never know if that person that you see sitting on the bench every single day, or the person who shuffles by you every single day, could potentially be the person who finds the cure for the next great disease, or the person who becomes a great community leader, or the person who someday, who knows, may become the next Wall Street guru and multimillionaire, only if they had just a little bit of help. Now, I'd like you all to consider this. If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than 1 million people in this world who will not make it through this week. If you've never experienced the danger of battle, the loneliness of imprisonment, or the agony of torture, or the pangs of starvation, you are ahead of almost 500 million people in this world. And if you can attend a church service, a meeting, without the fear of torture, imprisonment, arrest, or even death, you're more blessed than 5 billion people in this world. So I guess it's safe to say that each of us have been blessed with some opportunity and freedom to choose. It's up to each one of us to choose to become involved, to make a difference, and to take the opportunities that we've all been given to do some good, to help others drive out of poverty, or to help others drive out of a situation that could be dragging them down. And on a day like today, which is Mother's Day, most especially to leave a legacy for our children. So I think it's safe to say that none of us has gotten to where we are today without receiving a helping hand from someone, whether that someone be a parent, a friend, a professor, or someone else in your life. Each of us are intricately linked together in some way. And guess what, guys? It's time to pay it back now. So as you leave here today to begin your life's journey, I'd like to leave you with one of my famous quotations, my favorite quotations, I should say, that I kind of look at and think about a lot in my lifetime. And basically it goes something like this. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much money you've made, how many things you've acquired, or how high you've climbed on the social or corporate ladder. But what matters most is the difference that you've made in the lives of others, and how many lives you have touched and to make better along the way. So I'd like to add my congratulations to that which we will be getting, I'm sure, all day long. I hope you enjoy the parties. And best of luck to each one of you as you drive out and meet your own future. Thank you.